have an archive. And this is pretty much my favorite class because this is the class where you guys teach us, and every time we have this, the lessons that you all produce, we learn from every single one of them, uh, and um, and they're incredible. And the person who goes first is the luckiest person. Um, And so I know that Roxanne asked if she could go early. So I'm just wondering, Roxanne, are you here?
I am.
And do you want to be the lucky number one?
Yes, please.
Okay. Um, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you a co-host. There's probably an easy way to let everybody share, but um, anyhow, so as a co-host, you can share. Uh, or if you can't share, I can find your lesson and I can share.
Okay. Is anything showing up?
Not yet.
Uh, is
Oops, I went the wrong. But I can
there?
share it. Oh,
Sorry, I have an error message, so I don't know if I need to update something. So can you
yep,
share it,
yep.
please? Okay.
Um, okay.
Okay. So I created these slides for my second grade students, and I can use this like as a printout or just slides in the classroom for like a quick lesson. So this is solving problems at recess. So changing their Olympic brain to the sage brain. So if you could change the slide. And this is just telling them like the Olympic brain is the big feelings. They may feel mad, sad, or excited. Um, some of the things they may do is like yell, grab, or quit. Go ahead and click on it. Okay. And then this is the sage brain where we want to try to get. So this is like the pause, the calm. This is the brain that helps us make good choices. Go ahead and then this is the slide that teaches them about the OODA loop. So this is the stop, think, try.
Hmm.
So this is when you're feeling anything in that limbic brain to stop, take a deep breath, think what's happening. Um, how do I feel? Use kind words, ask for help, and this is when we may end up having to try again.
I love that stop, think, try. What a great, one, two, three. It's easy to understand.
And then this next one is the stress check. So this is the use stress to, which is the positive, and then you could get to the stress, which is a negative impact. So this is saying, okay, how, like a check-in, is this good stress? Like learning a new game, waiting a turn. So some of the bad stress would be like yelling, pushing, or crying. And the big picture is like if stress feels too big, it's okay to get help. This one is helping them with ways to solve problems, use OODA loop and Also in smaller print, I put like not helpful because I don't want them to really remember the
Right.
not helpful part, but take turns, talk it out, walk away, or ask an adult for help. And then this one is the one that I may actually like print out and put on I have a door with a window to the recess so they can help, it will help remind them those kind words like sentence starters. So these are ones that they'll hopefully get those open-ended and they start with their feelings. So I feel like when they come in and they'll start pointing fingers and I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. What happened? How did it make you feel? Well, it made me feel sad. And then this opens a door for them to have a conversation. And usually the other friend will say, I didn't mean to make you sad. And then all of a sudden they just solved it. So these are just like sentence starters. I feel this when that happened, or, depending on the situation that happened at recess. This is a page that I would probably like really slow down and act out with a couple students because this is the one that's really hard for second graders, but they see how it can work too. And then I'm hoping that this kind of follows them up through the grades.
Wonderful.
And then this is like along the lines of the motivational interviewing, where you have these curious questions like, what did you want to happen? What could we try? How can we both have fun? So they're trying to problem solve together. And then what is the ultimate goal? And so for them, for their recess goal, that everyone feels safe, everyone gets to play, everyone uses kind words and not hurt feelings. So it's just a tool.
Wow. It's really interesting how you've taken, you know, uh, adult concepts like motivational interviewing, nonviolent communication, and you've put it in terms that a second grader can use and learn from.
Yeah, thank you.
It's, I don't know, Jane, you probably hated this, right?
Oh, it was awful. I would never use such graphics. How dare you? No,
Yeah.
honestly, like that was really well put together.
Yeah.
I think it's really easy just to like take it and duplicate it and make it something that you can share with your team and other people can use. So really well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that one slide really would make a great poster.
Hmm.
That's really good.
I thought it's very sharp, very sharp. I think, Mitch, if you ever wanted to have a book that was for little kids, she's on to something there with explaining this stuff at that grade level, you know?
Yeah. Um, Great. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Uh, and thank you for breaking the ice because now who wants to go second?
Hey, Mitch, can I
Yep.
jump in just for a minute?
Yes. Yep.
I know someone else said they wanted to go second. I don't want to cut in line, but I have a student at 4:30 and I don't know if
Okay.
I'm going to be thinking all that clearly after I come back. So I was just wondering if I could go second. Sorry, other person. It's okay if I can't.
Um, okay. Yeah, so I haven't been watching so I see I can go fifth, I can go sixth. I don't know. Oh, four was Kara, three was Bree. Oh, okay. And Kara said that she can go fourth. So yeah, well, you can
Okay.
go, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Um,
And I should make you, uh, let's see. Anybody remember how do you make everybody the ability to share? I wonder if advanced sharing options. Who can share all participants? Aha.
okay.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So now everybody should be able to share.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me get my picture big. Okay, so I I'm not teaching in the classroom right at the moment. I have my own business where I teach about neuroplasticity, and I thought these would be really, really good strategies for helping people to develop some nervous system regulation. Because before, if you're going to do any kind of positive change, it's you have to start with a regulated nervous system and feeling safe. Um, and so I start by kind of explaining what nervous system regulation is. Um, and that part of what it is being able to flow between your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems flexibly. And this is something that a lot of neurodivergent people don't have. It's hard for them to calm down when they're upset. And developing that flexibility is part of the goal of neuroplasticity for some folks. And to lay the groundwork, first we need three things. I mean, there are more than three things, but these are three things that I found are very commonly needed, which is safety. And often we think of physical safety as something that we need, but it's also emotional, relationship, sensory, spiritual. There are lots of kinds of safety and comfort, like when your body signals a need, meet it, and connection, meaningful connections with people. Um, because if you're not comfortable or if you're not safe, what your brain is thinking of is, how do I get back to feeling safe? So I just kind of talked about connection and mirror neurons, and the more regulated we are, the more it helps other people regulate themselves too, and vice versa. The more other people are emotionally regulated, the more it helps us also. And then I've been thinking that the concept of interoception, which I've been thinking about a lot, really ties in with mind shifting. And that's the ability to feel internal sensations. And you have to have that ability if you're going to become aware of how you're thinking or how you're feeling, or what kind of, are you about to fall into a habit? Um, and, you can't change everything all at once. And so I'm going to coach people to pick just one or two things to work on at first. So, like, you might seek comfort during one activity of your day, or and one habit to change, or maybe two mindfulness techniques to help you develop your interoceptive ability, um, or things like that. Just make it a manageable chunk. And then some strategies, seeking comfort. So, like for one part of your day or your whole day, meet your needs as your body tells them. For sensory comfort, your organized environment, posture, you know, adjusting your temperature if you're too hot or too cold, doing some breath work, yoga. The loving kindness meditation has been shown by research to be really effective in increasing love in your life and improving cardiovascular health and emotional awareness, or other mindfulness practices, or practicing pause, just waiting before you respond to something. So to start with, get safe, um, because connecting with your body, trauma is stored in your body. So if you have unresolved trauma and then you do some mindfulness practice, you may inadvertently stir up the trauma and re-traumatize yourself, and we want to avoid that. So healing that first before you start can be helpful. But even if you have unaddressed trauma, you can do some things to help you connect with yourself, like seeking comfort. You can look for opportunities to experience joy in your life and get curious about how joy feels in your body. And you can make an effort to spend time each week with people who you love and who you feel safe with. And because the goal of nervous system regulation is to enable you to pause before you react emotionally, to give you space to choose how you respond, which gives you more choice in how you live your life. And that gives you the opportunity to change your habitual responses. So when you're calm, make a plan. Because if it's a new thing, if you know you're going into a situation that's going to trigger you, you might not be able to think clearly. So making a plan before can help you. So you can pick one thing to do first, like how are you going to respond to a loved one, or persisting when you experience a challenge, trying something new, or making new a situation, making new things feel more comfortable so that they don't freak you out as much. So then go into it and understand what the situation is, and then decide how you're going to respond if you get triggered. You could do some mindfulness. So breathing, body scan, take a walk. You could do some positive self-talk, like perhaps I can. I've done other hard things successfully. I can do this too. 3, decide what you're going to do or say differently, such as I'll ask my sister how she feels about the situation to get more information instead of trying to convince her I'm right. And then decide when you're going to reflect because it's hard to really do something, uh, learn a new thing if you're not going to reflect. And then while you're doing your reflection, whether you did what you intended to do or not, it's okay. Just the act of recognizing, okay, I was in that situation with my sister where I really wanted to convince her I was right, but I asked her for information instead. If you did that, great. If you didn't, if you realize that, that lays the groundwork in your brain to be able to do what you intended to do next time. And then if you did do what you intended to do, ask if it worked. Uh, Ask yourself, would I do anything differently next time to bring about an even more optimal outcome? And you can ask what the other person's experience might have been. And then repeat it because growth is never done. You can do more mindfulness practices. You can seek comfort as a practice to meet your daily needs. I did that at first, and I found it to be really meaningful and really helpful. And it's sort of spontaneously led to feeling safer and being more available to do this kind of mind shifting work. Um, and I listed some other things that you could do to keep this going as well. So that's what I have. So
Wow.
thank you for letting me go second.
It
Well
was
done.
really good. I always love listening to
Thank
you
you.
talk. Yeah, for those of you who this is your first session, Elizabeth has taken a few of these courses with us, and every time she shares something, I'm learning so many things, or at least like proper terminology and stuff. So thank you. It was really well done, as always.
Good, thank you.
And when you go through that slide deck in a normal fashion, how long do you think because that to me seems like an hour or two would normally,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Or maybe,
I mean, I could make it really long.
mhm.
So my intention is to have it be, I don't know, about 10-ish, 10 to 15 minutes
Per slide.
for, well,
Huh.
for the whole thing.
Okay.
And then I'm going to have a series of follow-up posts
Ah,
to go
okay.
into it more
Right.
depth.
Hmm.
So this is sort of like the just the overview, and then I'm going to really talk about each of those things
And,
at a later
and
time.
and one of the things that I really like was how you prepare people, how they, to prepare on how they're going to respond if things don't work out. Because, without preparing that in advance, we're all inclined to think, oh, I tried this, it didn't work, and then we judge or, give up or get angry or whatever. But when you prepare, then you're really ready for things because things always turn out a little bit different than we expect.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
discovered that I need that. I have to prepare before I do a new thing, and then I have to know when I'm going to reflect on it and know that it's not a success fail situation. Is did I do what I intended to do or not, which
Hmm.
kind of helps take the judgment out of it.
Yeah, wonderful. Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I put the link for those of you who aren't looking at the chat. I put the link because I Elizabeth writes at least 4 or 5 times a week on Substack, and she's a great person to follow.
And if you click on the last on my logo on the last slide of my presentation, it should take you to my Substack,
Oh, okay,
the link.
great.
Mhm.
Okay, all right. Um, Thanks. Any other comments? Anybody else want to say anything? And then move on to Bree. So I have like Bree, Kara, Heaven, and Bernadette as the next group. If uh, and then anybody who wants to go after Bernadette, you can put it in the chat, or when we get there, I'll ask. Okay, so Bree.
Yeah, would you be able to share mine, please, Mitch?
Sure, I think so. Let me. Yes. Okay, but I have to. Sorry. First, I have to get it because it's not. Okay. Right. Then I'll share the screen.
Thank you.
No. Um, I may be able to go to 75% here. No.
I just made a poster about the conflict resolution styles we had talked about. I had been messaging Mitch in like the beginning of the course, and I was trying to like find these graphics online, and I ended up sending him about 10 different graphics because I didn't
Hmm.
like any of the ones I was seeing. I'm a very visual person, so I felt like visually I didn't like it, or it didn't have all the content I wanted on it. So after we talked about this, I had just made my own poster and kind of combined a lot of the stuff I saw online and the things we talked about. So something that I think is like more classroom friendly. It is just more friendly to my own eyes and preferences. But just a really quick, easy guide to see what each of those conflict styles um, result in of who wins what and who loses what. And then how assertive or cooperative each of those styles are. And that's that.
Yeah, and what's interesting is so you sent this right when I was doing a blog post on the five conflict resolution styles, and so I put this at the end and said, and here's what Bree Covert did for her students. Sorry, I was going to. Sorry, I had to sneeze. And interestingly, a person who does trauma work with people um, commented that this was going to be very helpful for her. So
Oh, that's
I
super
thought that was
cool.
pretty cool. So yeah, great work. I think I think this is a poster that could go up in a classroom and you can do it. Anybody could do it from first grade on. You could do a lesson about it, and then just kind of point to it as the classroom conflicts arise, and say, okay, so what are we doing now, or how are you handling that, and
Yeah, you
anchor to
can
the
even
poster.
use it in a conflict with students and ask them, well, how would you like to resolve this? Do you want to collaborate? Do you want a competition? Rock, paper, scissors out. Like I feel like you could have the kids point to like where they want to go with their argument or their conflict. I like it.
Thank you.
No, thank you for sharing. Um, Oh, so Elizabeth, if you're still here, your presentation, you didn't put it on into the spreadsheet. If you're here, maybe.
It showed that she jumped out before after she
Oh,
presented
darn. Okay.
because she had that
So
student.
I'll email her and let her know because I haven't seen it either. But you're right. It wasn't in the spreadsheet. Okay. Yeah, Bree, thank you. And Kara, I guess you're next.
Would you mind uploading mine, please?
Okay, let me see. Okay. Yeah, let me share the screen, but I'm gonna make it larger. Um, because I don't think anybody's gonna be able to read it from my screen like this.
So the main part, so so if you scroll, can you scroll down to
Yep.
the poster of the conflict resolution, please? So what you see right here, what he's scrolling through right here. So I used AI, and one thing that I thought was kind of fun is I hadn't really used AI before this course. And then our district, like the same week we were doing the AI lesson, our district was doing a mini training on it's called Colleague AI that our district is providing. And so I got like two little mini lessons on using this, which I'd never really had an interest even in playing with or before. And so I was like starting to go to Canva because I like to use infographics and make posters because I teach elementary PE. So anytime I can make some kind of visual learning tool that I can put in my own gym, which I did, by the way, I was so excited, like made it and printed it, and I've already put it in my wall. I love it. But so that's where I started from. And so I started in AI. I'm like, well, let's see what they do. And then I was able to tweak it. I was like, well, we have a really diverse school. So I wanted to include diverse students. And so then it changed it to something else. So then I went back and rewrote the first thing I said, but made it diverse so that these guys is more representative of our school. And then I really liked how it has each of the different conflicts, but it gives the pros and the cons, best when used, and an example for each one of them. And then one thing that's neat about this is after I after made this, well, as you guys probably already know, AI is like they give you more. Like you go down this rabbit hole, and then you're
Right.
like, ooh. And so then if you scroll down, you'll see the next one. And then they had a sheet of like here is something so you can use this as a visual learning tool. And then there's like they give different little scenarios. So this is for grades 2 through 5. And so then there's different scenarios that are kid-friendly language that kids can work together. And the pages you saw at front is like the full lesson plan. Like when I finished with all of these pieces, then like, do you want to make a lesson plan? I was like,
Hmm.
well, sure. And so it's like, here's this one-on-one. And then after the like scenarios where they can either do by themselves or they can do think, pair, share, and they can work with another person. Then it also gives a rubric. And then I was like, well, put the rubric in kid-friendly language. And so
Mhm.
then they put the rubric in kid-friendly language. And I was like, that's even better. And then it kept going. And then after the rubric and that, oh, so then each of these, I included the stuff that AI explains each of their pieces because I figured, it's helpful. And so then after the rubric, I believe they gave options for exit tickets. So I'm like, if you didn't want to do, do the other piece, you could do a quick exit ticket. Did they understand the lesson, like the mini lesson that you had done? You can do it this way. They give examples within this whole lesson thing for students with if there's any kind of multilingual language learners, advanced learners, all different kinds of ways to apply it, which I thought was pretty awesome. So you got your quick check, you can see where they're at. But then also there was a self-reflection piece. And I was like, yes, we want a self-reflection piece. It
Mhm.
just kept going. I had so much fun. I know I didn't like physically create each one of these. And this one, I know it goes on to 2 pages, but I know I did get it into one. I was trying to make it into one. Um, but I love the self-reflection component in there as well. And just different ways you can use each of them and explain them. So I had a lot of fun um, doing this. I mean, granted, again, I didn't like make it, which makes me feel like I cheated, but it was very fun going down the rabbit hole and then pulling out something that, like, even more things that I didn't think of. I know when I was all done and I put it all in there and I was actually printing it out, I thought, oh, you know what I would have loved, and if I had
Mhm.
thought of it at the beginning, but I'd already closed the thing, was to include the role play scenario component, like include some role play into the mini lesson, like in addition to these, so that there's another piece that a teacher can pull from when, they know their students, they know which kind of pathway is a better pathway for their learning. And I was like, that would have been a really great option to include in this whole like lesson piece if they wanted to use it with their students. And then on the flip side, in my brain, I'm like, I can think of some students either doing it really well or just being seriously drama, like just very, very silly, but also having fun with it. And so I AI'd it, but it was fun. And I think it came out with a lot of really neat, useful things. So there you go. There's mine.
And I would suspect that you could take this and use this as a basis of a presentation for your school to have the whole school united on, how to teach kids how to handle conflicts.
Our school is really great. Like we have done a lot of like universal teaching with our staff, and that we have like language in our classrooms, that we have safe spaces, that we have restorative conversations and sentence stems in each of our spaces, and
Hmm.
actively teaching our students how
Wow.
to have restorative conversations. And it's been really, really cool because you see them doing it. And then when they come to you, like I have a corner, it's my conflict resolution corner, and got all the visuals and everything there. But the principal was sharing one day where a student came up to her in the hallway and was like, we need to have a restorative conversation with so and so. And she was like, oh, okay. And so she like grabbed her, go get this other kid. And it was the coolest thing. And the principal was sharing this because it makes, how great is it that what we're teaching them, they're using, and it was a young kid, it wasn't like an old one, and they're using it. And so it's pretty neat. I really appreciate our school and a lot of the work they are putting in this kind of field. And I agree. I think this can be a great tool to help teach others how to support and supplement what we're doing. And so, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, even so, even at say a conference, if there's regional teachers conferences, and I know Tammy gets involved in a number of teachers conferences, so and she'll be on a little bit later, but this would be actually all four of the presentations so far would be really interesting things to present at conferences. Um, to show other teachers. Yeah, I love this. It's a shame. It's a shame you used AI. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's
I
wonderful that
know
you
I'm
used
a
AI.
hack.
No, I think it's wonderful that you used AI. And you used it in a very intelligent way, right? Because you didn't just accept what it did, but you refined it and made it yours, and then added all those other components to this. Yeah, I really like this.
And as
So
a
thanks for
fellow
teaching the
new
tool.
person to AI, that rabbit hole is real. Like it's
Right?
so amazing where it can take you to create. And you're like, oh, do you want worksheets? Oh, do you want this? Like, yeah. So don't hesitate to use it if you already know that you have the skills and it's a tool. Don't use it if we're just trying to make ourselves look smart and stuff, but you
Mhm.
did an amazing job. So fantastic.
Compliments of AI.
Mhm. Right. Yeah, and I think as I look at the work that AI does, I could see when you give your first query to AI and it comes back with something like there's no way it's going to replace a real person because it doesn't have a soul. It doesn't fully grasp the context or the content that you want. Uh, but by refining it with the queries the way you did, you can have it come up with something that's really usable. So yeah, great work. Any other comments? Oh, so Tina, I thought so you say something, but I don't know, but you're muted. Uh,
I said it was awesome. I really liked it. It was very nice. All of them that have been presented so far, I've really liked all of them. So
and you can see why this is our favorite class, right?
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm looking at mine going, I'm not feeling so hot about mine now, but that's okay.
No, no, I saw yours. This is great.
Okay.
Okay, so Heaven, you're up, and Are you able to present, or do you need me to share from my screen? I see you're
Mitch,
on a
could you share,
phone.
please?
Sure. Let me just find it. Okay. So you have two links on yours.
Do the first one.
The first
I'll
one.
explain what the second one is. Um, so I guess I'll
Okay.
start with that second link in terms of explaining. So if you've ever dealt with younger kids and you've ever heard a song called the Boundary Song with by Hopscotch, it's like this group that makes like children's songs or whatever. Um, I oftentimes will use the Boundary Song a lot at the beginning of the year because it's such a silly song. But it really does teach kids how to set boundaries to kind of avoid certain conflicts and to be comfortable setting boundaries. So like the chorus of that song is like, please stop. I don't like that. I'm feeling uncomfortable. I need more space. And unfortunately I have it all memorized.
Hmm.
Um, so, it's one of those things that it sounds really silly and the kids like giggle at it no matter what age, because I teach third and fourth grade special education kids. And they find it absolutely hilarious and ridiculous. But then at random times in the class, when somebody's bothering them, like you'll hear that moment where they're like, please stop. And then somebody else will go, I don't like that. And they kind of like you can laugh it off because we all know it's a silly song, but you're also understanding that somebody's asking you to respect their boundary. And that kind of goes into the graphic and the like poster thing that I made. Because I was just very much so thinking of motivational interviewing and like non um, like aggressive and confrontational ways to deal with conflict. And so I needed something that was like simple for my brain to understand. And I very much so work in humor. I've been using a lot of motivational interviewing as of recently and like being very I guess, intent and like more specific about what I want to do and what I'm trying to do with them. And even using timers sometimes so that the conversations don't last all period. Because now, like, we have 10 minutes a day where, like, it's time to talk to Miss Heaven and everyone wants to sit in the little chair and, like, have a mini conference with me, which is ridiculous because it's always after lunch and recess and it's too much drama for me. So I'm like, you got 2 minutes in and out. Let's go. We're going to ask these questions. We're going to reset and regulate, and then you're going to be done. But in terms of my poster, the first thing is kind of just being able to listen. And I titled it just connect, understand, and redirect. Because the first part of any of this is being able to connect. And a lot of the times, even with listening, like the kids that I work with, they don't always want to listen. They're not always ready to listen, and they're not always ready to speak.
Yeah, I know
Um,
one or two adults that have a hard time listening.
Absolutely. So, those listening and then staying calm, is just two of the main things that I always have to remind myself before going into a situation. Because sometimes there are kids that are cursing me out, or they're ready to throw stuff at me, or they're just all over the place. They're kicking walls, they're banging things, whatever. So being able to be like, hey, what was that thing that you told me about that Goku show that you like watching?
Hmm.
Like, what was that again? And then just a quick, funny redirection to connect with them so that they're ready to listen. I'm like, oh, are you ready to listen to me right now? Because if you want to talk, then I need you to be ready to listen, and I'll be ready to listen. And kind of setting those ground rules. And then from there, after I'm able to listen to them and have that conversation, giving them those choices is super important because, again, even sometimes when the kids are maybe giggling, but they don't want to talk yet or they don't want to express, being able to just physically give them a choice like, okay, well, you're going to sit here or you're going to come and talk. Either one is fine, but you just need to make a choice. And giving them that time. Because I think a lot of the times we're all so rushed to move on in our day and we're being pushed to teach curriculum and we're being pushed to do 20,000 other things. So being able to just wait sometimes is really hard for me because I'm like 1,000 miles a minute. And I also have ADHD, so I'd be looking at them like, y'all need to stop. But with all that being said, like having that wait time and giving that to them so that they can make the choices and even going back to that like step 3 of give choices and then wait again. And then immediately, gratifying and praising them. Like the kids in my classroom at, 9 and 10 and 11-ish, some of them, work for hugs, which is hilarious.
Hmm.
They literally will work for hugs and like compete to see who can give me the most hugs in a day.
Hmm.
So it's like the little things of knowing how the kids work and then being able to emphasize on them. Like, oh, you're gonna get the like most infinite hug if you finish this test. Like, please. And it works. It's ridiculous, but it works. I think today I pretended to eat a student's sweater, because he had it in his mouth and I wanted him to stop.
Mhm.
But all those things of like, and that's why I kind of just say like connection first and words later. That's kind of the end of my poster. But just being able to connect with them is so important to me because if I can make that connection, I know that they'll be able to listen to me, even if it's not right in that moment.
And this really gives you something that you can just reinforce throughout the school year, right? It's like, oh, okay, so what are the five, read the 5 steps and where are we and how would you do this with this person and it just makes it pretty straightforward conditioning behavior that kids can learn to follow to be able to self-regulate and to connect with other kids. And I know, Kevin probably is going to object to this, but I actually like the fact that you use music. I think that Kevin, you don't think that music has any, that you shouldn't be using music in school, right?
Are you trying to raise my ire? What's going on here? Yeah, I have all kinds of theories about why music works and why video works, but we don't want to go into that right now because that would be long-winded.
Um, so yeah, I'm kind of teasing Kevin a little bit on
That's
that.
awesome.
Uh, and using humor. So yeah, this gives um, it gives kids something that they can follow and a good reminder and explaining it at the beginning and I love the idea that redirect also where you're kind of I mean I think we where you're having you're talking about something else to allow them to flush out their stress hormones so that from a calmer place they can have the conversation. So yeah, it's wonderful. Thank you. And then other comments? Anybody else? Okay. And then I have Bernadette next, and then Kim Miller next. And then if anybody wants to go after Kim, or whoever wants to go after Kim, we can ask later, or you can put it into the chat. So Bernadette.
If you could share mine, Mitch. I have
Okay.
two there. The first one's a poster, and the second one's like a quick guide. So whichever one.
Okay. Um, oops. Okay. So the lesson you want me to? I'll go to the first one. Um, and then share the screen.
So I'm kind of in a different setting. I taught for 15 years, and now I'm working with the Urban, where we deal with all the ENL and bilingual programs in all the school districts across Long Island. So mine kind of was two-sided. One, just thinking of my own kids, and then also like my office. I work mostly with teachers if I'm doing stuff, and otherwise is with my like the office. So it was kind of like the two ideas, the limbic versus sage, and how to simplify it. So it was like the lizard versus the wizard.
Hmm.
And kind of like the lizard brain, am I feeling pointy or defensive? Do I just want to win versus the wizard brain? Like, am I curious? Can I use empathy to innovate a solution? And then like the reset loop, like observe the tension, orient your goal, decide to stay calm, act with a question. And then on the side, it was kind of like how to fix this, like listen first, fix later. So, like reflective listening, like it sounds like you're feeling whatever the emotion is because of this. It's important to you. Is that right? And then, like, questions they could ask, like, what would a win look like for both of us? How can we use our strength of perspective here? And then, like, the shift, like, stop proving you're right and start building a bridge.
Hmm.
So, that was kind of like it was more thinking of like the staff I work with, the people I work with.
Hmm.
And then the second one was just kind of a quick guide. Oh no, no, that was the quick guide. This is the poster. Um, so I kind of thought it was even something like for my own kids, like
Hmm.
pause, breathe, connect, like how to get heard without starting a fight. Like step one, observe, and just kind of little things. Like I noticed that tell just the facts, avoid using you always or you never. Feel like I feel, be honest about your emotion, frustrated, worried, overwhelmed, what you need Step 3 is need, because I value, like connect the core strength, like fairness, kindness, or teamwork. And step 4, the request, would you be willing to? And ask a clear question instead of making a demand. So shift from your lizard brain to your sage brain. So that was the poster that kind of went along with the quick guide, which was the first one that we saw.
What a great group of tools to use together. And I love the rhyming of lizard brain and wizard brain. Um, and the OODA loop and stop proving you're right, start building a bridge. It's so many really cool points here. And then you know, and then the poster basically walking the kids through how to make a request to another person without triggering them.
Yeah. So I kind of gave it two different perspectives of it
Yeah.
because I'm like in a weird spot because I don't really work with students anymore.
Hmm.
Most of my work is like Zooms like this with teachers, which actually I'm going to drop in because my specialty is AI. So hearing you all
Oh,
be like, oh, I just started with AI, or I do a whole series on AI and the tools and how to help your students, like how to help yourself to help your students with AI. Um, so it's awesome. And I start like beginner, like very much like you've never touched AI. Let's learn about it and play together. And there's so much from it that you can do with your students and like save you hours of work of you being at home and doing stuff.
hmm. Yeah.
So I'll pop that in. All our workshops are free, the Arbor, and we're, state funded. So everything is free and, you can get credit for it if you need it. And it's E&L credit. I know a lot of people need E&L credit all the time. But yeah, to learn about AI for anyone who's interested.
And that's through BOCES or
So I'm employed by Eastern Suffolk BOCES, but
Mhm.
we're the RBURN, the Regional Bilingual Education Network. There's 7 of us, so I'm the Long Island RBURN, and then there's
Okay.
like the city RBURN. There's like different upstate RBURNs. There's all the different regions of
Hmm.
upstate, Capital RBURN, and whatnot. So we're state funded, but I'm run out of BOCES. But
Okay.
everything we do is free.
That's wonderful. And is it free for out of state also? Because a lot of
Yep.
people here from
Yep.
Washington.
All
Okay.
out of state. Yep. Anyone can
Okay.
join, and we use Frontline. I don't know if that's something that Washington uses.
Yeah,
Oh
Washington
yeah,
uses
we
PD as
use
Okay.
well, but
Frontline.
yeah.
I'll pop my Frontline. I'm putting in a series, and a new AI series this week. There will be like a new one
Oh.
populated.
Hmm.
But I'll put in our like website and then also our catalog, our PD catalog, but
Hmm.
everything's free. And like I said, it's an hour after school, just kind of playing with the tools and using it. So it's good.
Yeah. And I would say you could take these two, the poster and the quick start guide, and they
Mhm.
could be a basis of another hour session that you could do for teachers as well
Yeah.
on calming students. So it's wonderful. And thanks for the link so people could take your courses.
Yeah, no
That'd be
problem.
great. Good. Other comments? Oh, and I see, yeah, there's the link in the chat. Uh, so Shaheen, the link is like right above your comment, I think.
Saw that. Thank you.
Okay.
Haven't done yet.
Yeah, I shared our website,
Hmm.
just so you can kind of see what we do, but then I shared our calendar, and by the end of this week, my whole 6-part series will be up there. And you don't have to take all 6, you can take some, like it's Notebook LM, it's learning how to use like a chat bot, it's Diffit if you've never used Diffit, it's Magic School, it's School AI, it's all like the fun, different free, and everything, all the tools I'm using are free. So you don't have to have services with them. Your school doesn't have to have services. So just something if interested.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so Kim Miller, I have you as next, and then we're gonna need some more volunteers after Kim.
Hi. Okay, I'm trying to share.
And there it goes. Good.
Is it doing it? Okay. So, thank you, everyone. Boy, those are all so amazing. I'm blown away. So, thank you. Yeah, I wish I taught high school or junior high or elementary still. I'm in a different capacity now, but I did teach high school for a long time. And we would, do circle time in the beginning, kind of social emotional learning, kind of a time to ground. And it was really fun doing, I have this 90-minute lesson, but it really could be broken down into mini lessons or expanded over a week. I mean, it could be so many things. So like so many of yours before. And basically it's just kind of practicing nonviolent communication, social emotional learning kind of stuff through poetry. And, most kids like poetry or music that's kind of like poetry. And it has a few sections that could be done separately. And one is kind of just differentiating thoughts versus feelings. And so it could be done in a circle where someone, something happened to someone and they could just say, like, I feel like they're ignoring me. And it's like, okay, well, is that a thought or a feeling? And kind of unpack it further and have everyone participate and realize actually, that's um, more of, a something that, you know, is a thought or a feeling, you really want to feel like I feel unheard. Your thought is you're ignoring me, but really your feeling is I feel unheard, I'm sad, I'm frustrated, I feel alone, I feel ignored. Um, you know, and so just kind of unpacking it so it's less blaming language, less violent communication or jackal, um, and more nonviolent language and just helping because we do that blaming language all the time, like you're ignoring me or why are you being so mean, that kind of thing. And how do we switch it? And so it's fun to work with students and try and flip it around. And so they can kind of own their feelings and less blame game. And that creates connection and is fun to do. The next one is the kind of, the observation, feeling, need, and request practice, where you can again use a scenario. You can even like watch something, watch a little clip and unpack, like, what do you observe and how to flip it into nonviolent language. What is the feeling? What is the need? What is the request? And that could be done verbally in circle. It could be done with worksheets. It could be, done while watching something, um, looking at lyrics at poetry, anything like that. And that leads to the next one, where you could use poems or lyrics and kind of unpack, you know, are they expressing needs? Are they expressing feelings? Are they expressing observations? Um, is there requests in here? And, there's so much fun poetry and lyrics out there, and students have a great time like bringing in their own stuff to use and unpack can be really fun too. Um, and then lastly, is kind of creating one together where you can have like a jackal line and then have a giraffe line and just kind of go every other one and see the difference and create your own poetry this way. And then just take all the jackal language and then all the giraffe language and see the difference of how do you feel? How's your nervous system feel? You know, how do you feel when you share that? Maybe with the person that you're having this conflict with. Maybe you can take that home and share it with mom and dad, So it can be very useful and fun and it can go any direction. It can be a tiny little thing in the beginning of class or it could be a 2 week um, block. So that's kind of all I got. Um,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's really cool. I love the fact that there's a warm up and that the warm up is applicable. It's not just a warm up; it's a warm up that has to do with the subject.
Mhm.
And then you're using poetry in so many different ways because you're analyzing poetry,
Right.
and then having the kids. And I imagine this is going to be very fun, is writing a violent poem and then a non-violent poem. Okay, like I would love to, you know, as a kid, I would love that writing the violent things like yeah, this will get
Mhm.
them, and then it's like okay,
Right.
so
I hate you, or
right,
I'm gonna,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And then what's underneath that? And I think so many of us need to explore actually what's underneath everything, um, and learn how to communicate that. And this can be very fun, very interactive. Um, yeah. So,
Yeah, and it's funny as you were going through this, I'm thinking, wow, you know something? If I had known how to do this the first 10 years of my marriage, it would have been a lot easier, you know?
totally. Exactly, especially, marriage or while in school or with my
Yeah.
children, just
Yeah.
in so many capacities. And so that I think the younger we can practice this kind of stuff with students and model it, uh, just the better communicators we will be, and look at our political situation and just everything that's going on. It'd just be so great if we could turn from jackal to giraffe.
Wouldn't it? So was it, yeah, were you well, I thought I saw somebody else use the terms jackal and giraffe also, and I had never heard that, but I think it was like such
Oh,
a great
that's
term.
Yeah, that is not from me. That is what's his name, Rosenberg or whoever originally
Oh,
wrote the book Nonviolent Communication. Yeah, those were his terms.
okay. So I must have missed it or just skimmed over it or something, but those are great
Yeah,
terms. Yeah.
they are, and it works with real young kids too, because
Uh-huh.
it's like, jackal language, or let's get our giraffe voices, or what, you can kind of weave it in.
Hmm. So yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank
Other comments? Um, yeah, I love the poetry. Okay, so then Trisha Keller.
Hi, yeah, could
Hi.
you, where I'm at, I only have service on my phone, so could you
Okay,
share mine
sure. Let
for
me.
me?
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
created, yeah, I created a presentation. Well, I used AI too. I used Canva AI,
Hmm.
which was kind of fun because I told it what I wanted it to create was a slideshow with mindful moments. And then it's fun because it does ask you questions like, what style do you want? And then I told it that I wanted like 15 to 20 slides with different mindful moment activities. And then it asks what type of theme you want. And then it presented like 5 different styles. And so then I got to go through and choose it. And then I edited some of the descriptions. So if you go through the slides um, of the presentation, there's just a different, like explains why mindfulness is important. And my goal was like helping give kids strategies for like going from the limbic into sage. Um, and so I wanted like calming colors and calming images, but giving kids activities. And the reason why I chose this was because 2 years ago I had a student that couldn't handle transitions behaviorally, but very much wanted to be in the classroom. But every time we transitioned from specialist or recess or anything like that, he'd come in dysregulated and become fairly violent. So after lots of different trial and error, we decided that every transition as a whole group, when we'd come back into the classroom, we would do like a mindful moment activity. So different types of breathing or deep breathing, 5 finger breathing, mountain, picturing yourself somewhere, um, body awareness, movement, flexing, like all those different things. And I'd have to find different ones each day until eventually we had like enough that kids had favorites. So then my star student would pick the activity. Luckily at the time I was pregnant and having some heart issues. So I was able to the reason we're doing this is for Miss Keller and to regulate her heart throughout the day. So it wasn't obvious that it was for that student, but it would have been helpful if I just had a slideshow all put together. And I don't know why I didn't create one, but AI is so great because they could do it really quickly. And I think I also might print it and create kind of a flip book. I have another student right now that's really struggling when she faces anything challenging and gets really emotional and starts sobbing. And I told her, hey, we're in 5th grade right now, and people are gonna start making fun of you for this. They've been really patient with you over the years. The kids don't really respond, but I'm we're in 5th grade now. You're going into middle school. If we keep responding this way, it's going to hurt you socially. So trying to give her strategies when she starts feeling frustrated and overwhelmed for breathing through that, or going for a walk if we need, going and washing our face, doing different things to help regulate, and just realizing that different kids will identify with different things. So if we can teach them all these different strategies, then when they're in the moment of upset, they can choose a strategy that they like. And that might be my toddler getting loud. So yeah, that's what I created. Or AI
Wow,
did.
there's so many different exercises here. This is great. I imagine having something like this, and then allow, as you say, allowing some child, the child who would have earned it, or a child who you just wanted a reward, or a random child, or a voting or something, to be able to, allow have kids choose different ones on different days and make them, part of the decision-making process, because, giving them some agency as well.
Yeah, it was really fun when kids got to choose. They and then they'd lead the breathing exercise and stuff, and felt really bought in. So that was really
Mhm.
fun when I could, yeah, transfer that. And then they were leading kids through their activities, or the class would vote on which one they would want to do. And yeah.
Yeah, it's a great resource to have. Uh, yeah, other comments?
I
I
think the
Very
Yeah,
nicely.
go ahead,
Oh,
Kevin.
yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
the AI is just really kicking it here. I mean, some of this stuff is like textbook quality images. Did you have to go back and do any prompts on anything to to get things to work a certain way, or did it come out right on the first try?
Well, because it gave me so many options to choose from, I chose the one with the images I liked the most. And then I went through and just kind of personally edited some of the descriptions to make it more kid friendly. I'm sure I could have told it to make it more kid friendly and it would have done it automatically for me, but I went through and kind of retyped the uh, directions and stuff for my students specifically.
Nice. I like it. Very nice.
Yeah, I was actually going to say the same thing. I'm so impressed with
Hmm.
these AI quality things. Really well done.
Yeah, fantastic. So, yeah, thank you. And again, but this is another. I mean, every single one of these, I would think you could do PD for your school or your district. That they would find these very valuable. Oh, Elizabeth, you're back. On the spreadsheet, the we couldn't find your lesson.
I could not get it to upload. It's my presentation saved to some strange place, and no matter how I try to get it to upload, it doesn't
Oh,
give me my presentation to as an
okay.
option. So I
Um,
emailed it to you. I don't know if you
oh,
can
okay,
forward it.
okay. I haven't seen that email yet, but
Okay.
then I'll be able to put into Dropbox and
Okay.
put in there.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh, okay, then Kelsey.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
All right, I'm pulling up my screen. So I decided to create a training for my fellow staff members, and I'm actually going to be providing this training for my staff members at the end of this month. So any feedback from you guys would be great. So this is basically on the slide where the meat of the training starts, everything before this is, of course, norms and what kind of table groups I want them in and all that kind of organizational chaos that everyone deals with. Um, so I am starting with just social emotional learning. This is something that my staff has really struggled with. We in our district has really been dependent on using online platforms to teach social emotional standards, which I think is stupid. Like, you don't learn it through an online source, you learn it through watching other people and interacting with people. Um, and so I really wanted to iterate that to my fellow staff members and be like, no, don't just rely on the online thing. Like, please act accordingly in your classrooms and the kids will learn what they're supposed to learn. Um, so I'm starting with social emotional learning, and about how it's naturally ingrained in literally every single one of us, including in our own subjects, and it differs from subject to subject. Um, so I'm the first kind of instance is like it's everywhere. I give my example of how social emotional learning is found in my own classroom. I teach music. For those who don't know, I teach high school band and choir. Um, which this is the exact reflection that I had in, I believe, for this class for one of our first um, responses. So I just copy pasted directly from there, put it on this slide. Um, and I'm giving a moment to my fellow staff members to reflect on similar thought processes in their own classrooms. I really wanted them to focus on like, are you currently showing those skills to be learned by all your students? Are you showing equity and understanding, or are you showing biases? Like, are your teacher expertise being validated with actual real world consequences? So the standard, like, for example, something that is not that is the you can't act like this in college, and then you turn around and kids pull up a video and go, this kid's literally doing exactly that in college. Um, so, I mean, there's definitely some things where that term is absolutely accurate, but we're learning that's not really the case anymore. So, like, no, I'm teaching you this because I have personally experienced this on multiple occasions when I did this and it was wrong, kind of a thing. So, real world consequences. Um, at this point, I'm hoping that the SEL is a reminder to them that they know it's found in their classrooms. It's just a, oh yeah, another way to think about it. But really the main course of my training is mirror neurons, lizard and sage. This was the things that I really connected with in this particular course. And I feel like it works really well with teaching SEL strategies. So I really wanted to, of course, give the vocab lesson. So my thought process is I'm gonna be like, hey, bio team, teach the rest of us what mirror neurons are. Cool. Okay. And and go over. I like the lizard and sage instead of limbic and prefrontal. And of course, we've gone over examples of these two mindsets in education so many times. There's even hand gestures, of flipping your lid, and all these things of what are the examples of these two mindsets that we've seen and used. It's like, this is not new. We've gone over it before. Um, so then I'm introducing the Kinevin framework. Um, so therefore, like, we got to provide a mind shift. So it's like we can't be flipping our lid all the time. So how do we do that? So not all situations are the same. So therefore, not all solutions or reactions will work for each situation. From there, I, of course, provided the 5 main groups of the Kinevin framework. I then provided the situation that we had in this class of you catch a student cheating on an exam. So like a simple reaction to that situation, the complicated one, the complex one, and of course the chaotic one where literally nothing happens. They just both freak out and go, you cheated, and go, yes, I did. All right. Of course, I'm going to allow my staff to come up with some examples that they've had in their own classrooms, have them connect in that way, how they've done so in their own lives, because we all know not all situations in our lives are the same as in our classrooms? What was your reaction to them in the moment, and what was the result? I'm then gonna introduce the mirror neurons because it's exactly what the result was. um, their lizard and sage brain, how those work, how you can then use knowing those two to break the cycle, by killing them with kindness. Is the quote that always comes to mind. Um, Using the nonviolent communications, motivational interviewing techniques, all that really good stuff. Um, I then connect the dots of our Cynefin framework with SEL. So this graphic here is the one AI thing I did. Um, and it was actually for another clock hour training that I was using about AI. And I was like, oh, I actually need this for this thing. So I asked it to create for me this graphic for me that connected the Cynefin framework with the Washington State standards, which put it perfectly. I was like, this is beautiful. Thank you, Chef's Kiss. I'm planning on printing this out, hopefully in color. We'll see where our budget's at right now, um, to be able to give out to my fellow educators. Um, at this point, you got to build a break for those of you making, trainings for your staff members. Put a break in there. Uh, Bring snacks. Gotta feed your people. After the break, so I have an activity. We've done a lot with um like getting student voice and getting that from our students, but then we're just sitting there with all these survey results and going, why? What do we do with this now? Kind of a thing. I open up into the student voice with my own story time. So I had a very lizard brain moment when I was in 10th grade. And I wrote a letter to my English teacher going like, Dear Mr. Cantrell, I'm so sorry I'm bad at English. And he wrote back to me with like data going like, actually, no, you're really smart. You just don't, you're not currently applying yourself because you're disinterested. So let's get you on track. And that change really helped me to move forward. And I still talk with him to this day. Um, and so I wanted our teachers to look at our student voice survey results with those lizard and sage brains in mind. So it's like, what are students actually telling us? So don't be reading their survey results about how they don't feel wanted or safe at school with a lizard reaction. Like, actually approach it with your sage brain and go, why do they not want to come to school? Why don't they feel safe at this school? Those things. Um, and by the end, I'm hoping that we can actually build better ways to collect survey results because not enough of our students are actually doing them, or at least not the students that we want to hear from the most. So it's like, how can we shift the mindset of not only ourselves, but also the students that we wish to like get to the most because they are struggling the most and they're the hardest to reach. So that's kind of what I've been doing. The rest is mostly specific to my district, so I don't want to necessarily show that quite out on the big screen. But yes, that's me.
Wow, that's very complete.
Thank you.
Uh,
Great training. I think you're well prepared.
yeah,
Um, yeah, Kevin, what were you gonna say?
Oh, just thought it was really great.
Thank you.
yeah, you really give everybody a chance to interact, and you're relating the concepts to situations that the teachers encounter every day and allowing them to expand on those. I, you know, well done.
Thank you. Is there anybody who has anything like critiques for me to add to it? Because I still got like 2, 3 weeks. I know it's not super visual, but I'm a lot. So I feel
Hmm?
like I'm enough charisma that my slideshow does not need it. Okay, cool. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no, I thought it should go great, and I hope like email, email us afterwards and let us know how it went. 'Cause
Oh yeah, we'll
I'm
do.
sure it'll be really good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. So, Alicia,
Hello, how are you?
hello.
Hi,
Good.
I'm 8 days post-surgery for I met you.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
So, and I have a voice. So I'm grateful and blessed to be at this point of the finale of the course. And I'm also thankful that I can give this presentation. So I'm going to keep my video off though, if you don't mind for reasons, but thank you so much. And Mitch, if you can present from, my share my
Okay. Let
screen.
me. Uh,
I'm really glad your surgery went well.
Yeah, thank you so much. Me too.
yeah, I'm glad that you're able to talk now.
Yeah,
That must have been.
it's quite miraculous.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is actually like a little passion of mine that I've been preaching for a while about to anyone who will listen, like all my friends and everything about the algorithm and how it's shaping their reality. And so I finally organized it into a presentation thanks to this course. So the next girls' night's going to be quite interesting. So this presentation is exploring how algorithms quietly but powerfully influence human behavior, interests, and identity through repetitive feedback cycles, nicknamed the hobby loop. So a little spin on the OODA loops.
Hmm.
Um, so the thing about the title, The Invisible Architect, algorithms act as invisible architects. So they shape what people see, engage with, and eventually believe, often without their conscious awareness. Um, the hobby loop. So the subtitle is How Algorithms Shape Our Reality Through the Hobby Loop. So the hobby loop is describing how algorithms observe user behavior, recommend related content, reinforce specific interests by continuously feeding similar material. So over time, the loop narrows exposure, deepens engagement, and can turn casual interests into dominant habits or identities, which is, could be dangerous. So while this can feel personalized and convenient, it's going to limit choice and autonomy. Okay, next slide. Okay. So the inspiration for this presentation really came from the whole OODA loops. When Jane highlighted the difference between limbic mode, where people act without fully considering the situation, and then the more reflective approach that involves observing, orienting, making informed decisions. Okay, next slide. So the hobby loop hijack. So hobby loops, basically step one, user shows interest. Step two, algorithm recommends similar content. Step three, user engages more. Step four, the loop repeats. So the hobby loop is very powerful. It creates personalization that feels intentional, but it might not be, obviously. It makes users feel understood and it keeps their attention locked in. Now, there are benefits of this, obviously discovering new interests, learning skills faster, finding communities with shared interests, feeling motivated, inspired. There's also downsides of this, like filter bubbles, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Limited perspectives, loss of autonomy, overconsumption, and even obsession. So casual interests start becoming dominant focuses. For students, the impact is quite, it could be pretty bad because they're young. Their hobbies can turn into labels. It can turn into their identity. They can think this is who I am, which would be shaped by their repeated content. It's more of an identity reinforcement without reflection. So this is pretty dangerous. Okay, next slide, please. So there are consequences. So engagement over diversity. Platforms are prioritizing high arousal content, shock, outrage, extreme validation. It wants you to be on the app longer. There are benefits and risks, of course. Algorithms help people discover communities and skills of their interests, but obviously creating a filter bubble reduces their critical thinking, which we learned in this course, manipulating their attention for the profit and engagement of the metrics. And the thing that I liked was the idea of the
echo chambers. So over time, the orientation becomes rigid and you stop unlearning your old habits and you begin to view your bubble as the only objective truth. So, that could also be very dangerous. Next slide, please. So this ends up becoming a strategic paralysis. So the algorithm is starting to control what you observe and it's dictating how you orient. So it's already kind of affecting the first two steps in the OODA loops that we learned in the first session. Orientation is one of the most important steps. It's where we make sense of the world. So if our orientation is wrong, our decisions will be wrong, no matter how fast that we think we're acting, again, because we said algorithms operate in a super OODA loop speed. So there's a loop jam. By flooding us with validating and emotional content, the algorithm's jamming our ability to orient toward objective truths. So the goal of this presentation is to show how to take back control of your own loop by diversifying what you observe and challenging how you orient. So kind of focusing on the first two steps in the OODA loops. Okay, next slide, please. So basically, my whole idea is really awareness and digital literacy. So I remember when I first became a teacher, digital literacy kind of looked, very different than it can look now in the future. I think that, this should be part of our digital literacy education. Understanding how hobby loops work, individuals would be able to make, more intentional choices, resist passive consumption, regain control over the online experiences. And the goal isn't to reject algorithms entirely, but to interact with them more consciously and responsibly. Okay, next slide, please. So these were 3 ways that you can reset your algorithm today. So the pause, so having awareness, not being an unconscious participant, giving users back control. Make this bigger. Okay. So first is kind of like understanding that there's a problem. I think that's important. Observation. So looking at your own feed with curiosity, asking what's the algorithm trying to make me observe and what is it hiding? The shift, replacing cheap dopamine of the echo chambers with the high value of a balanced perspective. So that's seeking out a source that would challenge you, seeing different perspectives, not to change your mind, but just to expand your orientation. Okay, next slide, please. All right, and so this is the final slide. Really, this was like such a rewarding course for me. I just was able to kind of like learn so much. I actually am a forensic psychology degree holder from John Jay Criminal Justice in the City. And I became a math teacher like after having gotten this forensic psychology degree. So I'm very interested in the mind and how the brain works. And I really enjoyed this course so much. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who was part of this. And it's like kind of making me like want to like dive a little deeper into things. So I'm definitely going to be signing up for another course soon. So thank you. Oh wait, Mitch, I think you're muted.
Sorry
That was
about that.
really
Sorry.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
You brought up digital literacy, and like I think of the way so many people teach digital literacy. It's like, how do you use this? Then how do you use this? But this is real digital literacy because this is how um, how the media manipulates us and how we can claim back our own agency. And
Yeah.
that's to me what all of us really need to learn. I would take this if and I would apply to NICEGate, the New York
Mhm.
Technology Conference,
Mhm.
and offer to to teach, the real way kids should be learning to digital literacy and teach other educators how to teach this way. This and your graphics are incredible,
Oh,
very
thanks.
Star Warsy, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I really like enjoyed doing this. I really did. I actually had so much more I could have kept going, but like I wanted to make it concise. But yeah, it's just it really interests me. It always has. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
But you can see it's a passion.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it could be a documentary film. I think
Oh,
you could use those. You could start with that and use those as illustrations, but then do a voiceover. It just looks like it could be a half, or not even half, but maybe an hour long at minimum documentary film that really sort of updates a whole bunch of thinking that is way outmoded. I think there's a lot of people who are at their wits' end on what to do with the algorithm, and that I don't know. Parents are lost. I mean, everyone seems to be just scrolling their way toward I don't know what, but retaking control. This would be powerful as a thesis for retaking control.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah. I agree. Definitely. Yeah, it's important. The awareness, I think, is the first step, is the awareness. I don't think people are even aware that it's an issue. So
Right, right. Are you back in school yet?
no, I don't go back until March 2nd.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I got a full month
Mhm.
hiatus, but I'm feeling so much better and I'm just so grateful to be able to speak and to
Mm.
have made this final class. It's been on my calendar and it was like my goal to like make it to this point.
Wow.
It's exciting.
Well, I'm glad that you're here, and I'm really happy that you presented this. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Other comments? Then Tashima Jackson. And then, did you say that? Yeah.
Yes, I'm here. Let me share. Okay, so I've created a lesson on limbic mode versus sage mode for middle school students. That whole trigger to calm and how your brain shifts. So them just knowing how their brain could shift from limbic mode to sage mode and then just keeping calm. So for limbic mode, I stated, when your brain thinks there's danger, even social danger, it goes into limbic mode. What it feels like, big emotions, anger, fear, embarrassment, hard to think clearly. You want to yell, shut down, as well as run away. For limbic mode, it's red. Your brain is saying this is not okay, and it's the alarm brain. For sage mode helps you stay calm, think clearly, and make good choices. What it feels like, more relaxed, able to focus and problem solve, as well as in control of your actions. So sage mode, what your brain is saying is that I've got this. You want to think smart, and it's a calm brain. So how to move from limbic to sage mode? And a way for them to move from limbic to sage mode is that they can breathe in for 4 and out for 6. And they can do that three times to shift their brain from limbic to sage. They can pause, count to 10 before reacting so they're not as reactive. And then also they can name how they feel, such as I'm feeling frustrated. And then they can move around, being able to release that energy. They can stretch, they can walk, or shake it out. And then positive self-talk, they can say things like, this won't last, so that they are, aware that this is just an episode that they're going through. switch to Sage mode. These are some sentence starters that they can use in questions as well that will help them switch from limbic mode to Sage mode. So like if I'm in limbic mode, this is some strategy that they can say. They can say like, I need a moment to reset. I'm feeling blank and it makes sense. I'm reacting now so that they are aware and they're conscious of being in limbic mode. And then they can also choose how they want to respond by saying like, what is my best next move? I can ask for help calmly. I can explain instead of reacting. And then moving forward, they can say things like, I can handle hard things. This won't last forever. And I can do a reset and try again. And so I love call and responses as well. So switching from limbic mode to sage mode, the teacher can say limbic mode, and students will respond by saying slow it down. Then a teacher can say sage mode, and students can say brain on now, right? So just having them be aware that they're in limbic mode and we want them to slow that down and being conscious of that. And then students should remember everyone goes into limbic mode sometimes, and the goal is not to be perfect. However, we want them to notice it. Is to notice when their brain is in alarm mode versus limbic mode. We want them to do a reset. Even small tools such as like breathing, pausing, or naming their feelings will help them get back to sage mode. And then practice. The more you notice and reset, the faster you can stay calm and think clearly. And yep, that's it.
I love this one, and I'll tell you what it makes me think of. I studied martial arts for years, and you have katas that you practice for tournaments or for combat, and this lays out kind of like a kata or like a. I think I could teach karate with this. Well, because you got kids sometimes that see social interaction as combat, and I don't think this is not wouldn't be appealing in a way to say, what's your mantra, what does it look like? We say mirror neurons, Mitch. In martial arts we say mirror me, and you stand across from sensei and you mirror exactly what his moves are, her moves are, and you kind of learn by doing that. And I see a lot of that kind of logic in what we just got to see just now. I find it interesting.
Thank you.
And I mean, there's so many things like the graphics were very emotional, so they showed what the angry side and the calm side. The trigger to calm is a great phrase. I loved the cheer. Like the teacher says something, the kids say something back, and it's like I could just see the class really getting into it, and it's kind of like it it's not to say that a joke doesn't do it fair, but it's kind of like a joke, an in joke for the class that when those emotions get going, the teacher brings them into the chair, or even one of the students brings it into the chair, and like resettles them and anchors them. And the way you have the examples of self-talk that the kids can use, I think that those are going to be very helpful as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Mitch.
No, thank you. I think it's wonderful. And Aaron, let's see if you can present because I couldn't get into
I
the
know, I'm
classes.
so sorry about
No,
that.
that's the way the computer
Well,
gets even with us, right?
I know. So, unfortunately, everyone, I did mine at work. And when I went to share it, for some reason, it's like restricted. So I need to go back to work tomorrow and try to fix that for Mitch. So you'll get that. I'm sorry. But I'm a second grade teacher, so I definitely geared my lesson towards my second graders because this is something um, that I actually want to do with my class because conflict resolution is a big topic that we're constantly working on a daily basis. So I always start with a connection when I begin a lesson just to kind of get my students hooked on what we might be talking about. And usually my connection always deals with my own personal life. And so I made up a story how my husband wanted to go to Mighty Taco for dinner, but I really wanted to order a pizza, and how I didn't want to hurt his feelings because I know that's his favorite dinner. And so I don't know what to do to resolve this issue. And in hopes that, and I know my students will hopefully raise their hand and come up with some great ideas for me, which would then lead into my teaching point that we're going to learn about conflict resolution. I did find this short little video on YouTube. It's called We Can Work It Out. And
Are
it
you
just,
showing, by the way, because it's you is it if it's on your screen, it's not. Are you? Do you mean to
I'm
be showing
reading
this?
it off. I couldn't figure out how to share it from my phone.
Ah, okay. That's more difficult. Right. Okay. Okay.
I did do it, Mitch. I
Yes.
promise.
No, no, I just you were describing it and it was like, well, maybe you meant to share, but I got it. I'm sorry. I
I
didn't
know,
mean
I'm
to.
sorry. So
Okay.
the YouTube video is called We Can Work It Out, and it's 3 conflict resolutions for kids. And so the 3 methods that they talk about during it is: first, stop, remain calm when a conflict occurs, breathe, and then 2, once you're in a calm state, talk about your feelings calmly, whether it's with that person or maybe with an adult to help you. And then finally, the third stage is come up with a resolution together with that person or maybe with the adult you involved. And so I really enjoy doing role playing with my second graders, especially when I want them to understand a concept. And so I decided for the interactive part of it that we would do scenarios where I would give them a prompt, and then they would have to come up with a plan on what the resolution could be. And I wanted them to see that there isn't just one answer, one way of solving something. Um, Collectively, they could come up with different ideas. So, but still, all of them can be calm and effective and appropriate. So, I mean, one example that I gave was a friend wants to work with you in class, but you remember that they didn't do their fair share of the work last time you worked with them. They come to sit by you, but you don't want to tell them no. So, what do you do? And so, hopefully, at that moment, there's more of a discussion that takes place. Um, and then I had 4 other scenarios to do as a whole class. And then to almost, you hate to always make an assessment, but to see if they truly understand different ways to resolve conflict. I did come up with like an exit where there's a conflict and then they have to write their own resolution. And then to conclude my lesson, I was going to have them bring the sheet of paper back to the rug to do a share. And so that's basically, I mean, conflict resolution never goes away. And so I'm sure this is something I know for a fact next year in September I'd like to do with my second graders right off the bat. But then obviously throughout the school year, it's definitely something that needs to be revisited.
Yeah. So, have you ever designed course material before? Because you put in so many different aspects of instructional design into this course. It was so. Have you?
Um, um, no, just my own, like,
Huh?
no, I haven't. Just teaching.
Okay. Well, just starting off with a really cool example and getting some interaction there, and then using video. Video is a great way to use other senses, and then the role playing scenarios, and then the writing example and showing kids that there's more than one solution for virtually any problem. I think like you pulled in so many different aspects of the way the brains naturally learn. So I thought that was really good.
Thank you. And I'll get that to you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. You'll be marked as having done it. So, but yeah, that great because I'm get my guess is that everybody else wants to see it as well.
All right.
So,
Thank you
that'd be
again.
great. Okay, so I don't have any more names on my list who has volunteered. It would be great to have one more person take us home. Who's who can volunteer?
I can do it if desired. I can share mine.
Great. Okay. Thanks, John.
Gotcha. Um, so I made mine more like I suppose a research project. 'Cause I was the group pressure lesson, I think lesson 5 or 6 really like was incredible to me. I was very perplexed and I kind of went down a rabbit hole. And so before even session 7 arrived, I knew what I was going to do mine on this time around. And so I just named it Group Pressure in Theory and in Practice. And it's more for adults as I'm kind of going into an admin role soon. So I was like, oh, I'll make this to kind of maybe if I want to one day and flesh it out more. And I start with this picture, which I find really, it's a very famous picture of the German, at the time, Nazi party. And it's a very famous of a man not doing the salute while everyone else is. And we're going to talk about that and some other things. So, group pressure, what is it? It's one of my another really funny classic cartoonists is they're at a board meeting. It's all in favor, say aye. It's say it ain't so. You got to be kidding. Perish the thought. Heaven forbid. No, 1,000 times no. And then everyone agrees and says aye. So what it is the idea that either indirect or directly, a group of people will all conform to the norms, beliefs, and behaviors to avoid social rejection and to get acceptance with each other. So basically, I summed it up as fear of embarrassment trumps your logical brain, oftentimes in a group. But why? And when does it become a real problem? So here's some science. This was my deep dive, which I found really interesting. So in our reward part of the brain, which was typically when I found the nucleus accumbens. It's the dopamine receptor part of the brain. It rewards us for being cooperative and aligning with groups more often than not. The other part, though, which is funny enough, on the outside of the dopamine receptors, is our cingulate cortex, which is the self-reflection part of the brain. It's the called the autobiographical part of the brain. It actually heats up when we're not heat up, but it shows increased activity when we disagree with people and get into arguments and fights, and it leads to discomfort. Um, and so these two things work hand in hand to really push us to want familiarity and acceptance and friendship into these social spaces. And the last thing that I just found interesting as well, which makes total sense, is it's also just easier energy wise to agree with a group and not cognitively challenge it and bring up points and theories. And so our brain will just take the easiest path and go, yes, I will agree with this, especially during high stress, high stakes decision making, like board meetings and big conference meetings like that. So to sum up, dopamine part of the brain says, yes, I like to get along. The part of the brain that's more self-reflective goes, ooh, I really don't like that I am disagreeing with people. And overall, the whole brain says, that's a lot of energy, especially in stressful times. So the things that promote group pressure, there's a few, and these are my like big. I think I said 4 or 5. These are the big things that I found really promote group pressure. First one is when members are from a similar background, hometown, similar beliefs, religion, whatever it is. Those similar bonds really bring them together, even when exposed to new environments. So that's one. Another one is that groups that are isolated, so let's say they never leave that hometown or that cultural space, that echo chamber forms and they lack diverse perspectives and they don't get outside input. So that makes it stronger as well. The other thing is, like I said previously, stressful, fast-paced decision making. to take the easy way out and follow the majority promotes group pressure a lot, and not giving like ahead of time or notice. And then the big one, which to me is the scariest, is if there is a powerful or charismatic leader who says, "Hey guys, I think we should do this." Most often, the group will agree with that and not have any dissent, because you don't want to go against the guy everyone likes, the leader. And last one, a shared belief that the group is too successful or too great or too big to fail often leads to overconfidence. These last two, to me, the first three, I feel like groups tend to naturally go to, similar backgrounds, and oftentimes you do become an echo chamber in friendships and in groups and schools. But these last two really are the ones that I feel like are big stepping stones into what I'm going to talk about next, which is too many of these factors and we run into groupthink. And so group pressure kind of leads to groupthink from what I kind of researched and looked at, which is groupthink is when we go a step further and it leads to irrational or dysfunctional decision making. And we've seen this throughout history, and I'm going to pull up some examples, but I'm going to try and save time because I know we're running out. But the main consequences of groupthink are limited alternatives. The group fails to examine all potential solutions and risks, right? Poor decision making, because we rush those decisions, or we go after one, we don't consider other options. There's often a flawed or bias. There's a lack of plan B. That's the other big thing, is there's little contingency plans or thought of what could occur, no devil's advocate. And ultimately there is failure in the breakdown of the group. So famous examples, obviously not Nazi Germany. That's the big one that I was like, yeah, that's pretty obvious. Very charismatic leader at the time. A lot of, well, obviously there were some outliers, like I said in the picture, but there was a lot of those 5 factors that led into it. And also the fear of speaking out came into that one. The other one that I found really interesting was the Bay of Pigs invasion. Apparently, when I was looking up groupthink and group pressure, it's like the big case study, is that apparently JFK, president at the time, and a lot of members of his cabinet ignored other thoughts and other experts who said, "Hey, this will not go well." And they said, "Well, we're the CIA. We're too big to fail. We've been doing great. We're very strong." And they ignored a lot of evidence suggesting otherwise. And they pushed through, and it was a arguable disaster. So that's another big one. And my favorite one, which I just rewatched the movie The Big Short on, because it really documents this well for any who haven't seen it. So the 2008 housing crisis is the idea that the banks are too big to fail. A lot of people were like, no. The whole movie is about this idea that, oh, you're an idiot for betting against the banks. You can't short the banks. They're strong. And all these people were like, well, okay. So a lot of groupthink was behind that. That's why it was so out of the blue. And so last, I'll rush. How to fight group pressure is to foster a safe place where people can openly share and give their opinions and not feel threatened or in fear. Diversify the group, having multiple opinions from multiple angles. Promote critical thinking, giving notice ahead of time of what you're going to discuss, or talking about it, and then say, before we make a decision, let's go and have some time to think and consider. And then build in dissent, maybe assign a role of a devil's advocate. Seek external input. Maybe you and your group are all reaching the conclusion, and you go, let's get one more, mentor role or whatever. And then use anonymous feedback is always great. I do this with my classroom a lot. Is, how do you guys feel about the lesson? Write it on a note, turn it in, and I find that their thoughts are much more honest than if I were to ask them one by one, hands raised. And lastly, have a plan B. So even if the plan looks great and everything goes well, it could crash and burn. I've found that out with a lot of lesson plans in my room. So yeah. So, and ultimately, I have this video, but we don't have time. But there's this very famous video that's trending right now, and the whole concept is The penguin doesn't go towards the iceberg with its flock. It doesn't go towards the feeding grounds. It goes its own way. And so it's a very cute little video. But anyway,
You should totally play it. And if people
okay.
need to leave, they can
It's
play
like
it.
50 seconds, so sure. It's just
Do
very
it.
funny. So anyway, so that's it's the ultimately if the group is toxic, be like the penguin, go your own way, find your own truth. It's a silly little clip that's been trending. So, yeah, that's my brief run through.
Yeah, I think every organization needs to go through something like that. It because every organization suffers from that same groupthink and um and the pressure of the group. So yeah, you should go on the road with this. And
No,
that's a great one to end on also.
I
Uh,
I agree that it's a great one, and I agree it's needed right now, and it's a good conversation starter. Um, it seems like everyone's sidestepping anything real these days, but we're a democracy, and our whole government was based on disagreement, and then dealing with disagreement and debate and some other things, and so I think I think there's probably a need, and the way you jump into it and explain it, makes it. I love history, by the way. I love history, and I feel like that application that you've done is really apt. And I just wanted to say, I'm glad you shared it.
yeah, I had the great opportunity to live in South America in Guyana in the middle of the jungle. And I have to say, like in the village that I was in, you could see that. You could see that group mentality just kind of take over with all of these decisions, or if there was superstition that would take over the tribe and how they reacted to those superstitions. And it it's definitely a really cool thing to look more into. But thank you for sharing.
Oh, one more thing, John. I have a link I could share with you with my project-based learning units in it, but one of them is called Which Witch is Which, and it's about the witch trials. And it
Ooh.
would go so well with what you've done there. I would love to just share that PDF with you if you want. If you want to hit me up, I'll just drop my email in here, kestack@gmail.com. And I've saved it so that you get like 6 lessons in each page. Gmail.com.
And
Not trying to.
everybody else,
yeah.
while he's doing that, thank you so much for joining us. And in this course, we have another one starting 2 weeks, right,
Right,
Mitch?
right. The
Uh,
mastering your
it's
resourceful
probably,
brain.
yeah. And then we'll be offering more next year as well if you're unable to get into that. But this was fantastic, and you guys did such a great job. So thank you so much. We'll
Great
reach out if
lessons.
you're missing anything for your credits, or feel free to reach out to us, and we will take care of that for you.
Okay, and we'll be on, but thank you. It was great interacting with you, and hope you found this valuable.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to the next
Thank you.
one.
Thank
Wow.
you. Thank you.
You.
You guys
Bye.
did such a good job. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany.
1000% my favorite class.